always knew that I could generate money.
Right.
I had my first job at 8. At 9, it's very documented. You can go to my Twitter right now and pull up a picture of me and Hank Aaron. It says the two hammers finally meet. Know what the date of the picture says? 1975.
Yeah, I've seen that.
In 1975, I was already in my 3rd year of a job. I've been an entrepreneur from day one, so I'm not ever concerned about generating money, but I got caught up in my humanity.
And that was the interview. That was the main part of the interview I wanted to talk about as I go into the spiel on success and failures. Now, you heard it out the man's mouth that, see, when people have a vision, right, they don't see limitations. And I'm going to share a tidbit of story with you real quick. So last night, or yesterday, I got my mom these tickets for Mother's Day for the Steve Harvey show. Lord have mercy. For the Steve Harvey Family Feud. I'm sorry. Lord have mercy, I'm retarded. Don't laugh at me. But took moms and for the Family Feud taping, and very great experience. Have fun. But now you all know, for the people who know me, I always have had an opinion about Steve Harvey, as far as not what's necessarily been in the media, just for certain things. I feel like the only issue I've had with Steve Harvey is how I felt he spoke on relationships. That whole think like a man, act like a woman thing just blew me, and I lost respect for him at that point. But I have officially regained respect for Steve Harvey after last night. I'm going to tell you why. It's about success and failures. And it's like how God just works in mysterious ways, because it's just like what he was talking about last night, after the show. It was interesting because during the show he interacts during the commercial breaks and the pauses and whatever. He speaks to the audience, talks to the audience, interacts. Great situation. And he says after the show he always wants to leave the people with something positive. And so he said, now he spoke on some things that he was going through per se, or things he's been through in life. But recently what he was going through, that whole Miss America pageant or Miss Universe pageant, and he said, the man said he had to hire 24-hour security for his house because he got so many death threats. And he came home one time and there was like somebody trying to throw like Molotov cocktails or letters or something like ridiculous. And speaking of protection too as well, tonight's show is sponsored by Beast Protection, Beast Executive Protection at gmail.com. You can contact them for your protective services. If you're up-and-coming artist, or you need a security detail, or you have a business or a residence or a community of apartments, anything that you feel needs to be protected, or personal protection as well, you can contact Beast Protection. Once again, that's Beast Executive Protection at gmail.com, or you can call 404-901-8377. But back to the story. So he said that people think that you got fame and all this good stuff. And he said, you know what? He said, it's not that he's unhappy with his life. He's just that he's unhappy at the fact that he can't do anything normal again. He's like, he got all this money and fame, etc., but it's like he's still in the jail because he can't take his family to this and that. He can't go here. He can't do this. And so at the end of the day, he said the success came when he believed, he kept his faith, and he told God, what he wanted. Not in an arrogant, cocky kind of way, but he said, if you think how powerful God is, he said, God is, why ask for, and he gave a great example. He said, why ask for God to say, God, help me get my credit together in 7 years. And then you happen to stumble upon somebody selling a product for $39 going to help you get your credit right. And in 7 years, you got your credit right, and ta-da. But he said God created the world in 6 to 7 days, however you want to look at it. 7 days, 6 days, however you want to say. But you think it's going to take you 7 years to get what you're trying to achieve? He said that's the mindset that hinders people from being successful. He said you have to think big and do big things and dream big and make your dreams reality. But when you go to God, don't ask for little, because you'll get that little. But then you got to see the success and more of what God wants. And so he went on to say how he went to God about it. They said the man shared his story again, and how he was in his car homeless for 3 years, and he was doing his comedy thing. He was trying to do this and that, and he was, taking baths in gas stations and whatever, and sleeping in his car. And he was like, all he asked for God was he didn't want to be homeless again. He didn't want to have this and that. And then realized the level and way God was moving in his life. And then he felt like when he did the Kings of Comedy, he felt like he was at his success, and he was at his pinnacle. He was like, yeah, I got it. And then realized that all these other doors started to open, because God showed him that you must not know how powerful I am, because I'm going to give you this and more if you do just these simple things. And the simple things is believing in the principles that God has placed in you. No matter what religion you believe in, whether it's Islam, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Buddhism, whatever you listen to, there's principles in everything. All of them have the similar one thing in common: principles. And the principle is, and it's in the Bible of principle, and the principles were to write things down. He said every successful person has had some form of a vision board, and that's writing out their plans, writing out their vision, and remember and following those steps, and asking God for, and talking to God, and planning out and following those steps, and then asking God. Now, I can't remember the exact scripture, because I'm somewhat of a heathen sometimes. But the message was powerful, because this wasn't scripted. This was from this man's heart. And it spoke to me, because sometimes you have to realize that you shouldn't go to God with little things. Go to God with big things, big ambitions, big goals, big dreams, big things to accomplish. But you have to remain faithful, right? And follow the principles. Now, I'm speaking on the behalf, this is not like a Muslim thing or Christian thing. This is a God thing. Because no matter what Bible you follow, he said, what do you think the scriptures are for? It's for you to live by, the principles to live by. And so he said that's what makes people successful, is because they understand the principles that God has given to them. There's no secret formula. And that's what people fail to realize. People go into all this, people go into these conspiracy theories and these organizations and this and that. I don't give a damn about all that. People become successful based upon applying the method of principles and faith. Believing in what you want, believing in what you ask for. So what my message to you graduates and you parents of your graduates, push the fact that your kids and graduates, that you should remain faithful and always. And the one thing he said that made so much sense: no matter what you do, you got to have God involved somehow. It boils down to that. You can call him the creator, you can call him whatever, but it's going to be God has to be involved. Now, I don't want to get into a religious conversation because I can go deep. I can go so deep. People always ask me, you know, are you a Muslim or are you a Christian, this and that. I say, I believe in God, but I follow principles. Nothing showed me in the Bible to go to church every Sunday. And it's funny because I can relate to Steve, because Steve grew up in the church. His mom was a preacher, Sunday school teacher, I'm sorry. So he went to church every day. But he said through all that, he just can quote 5 scriptures. And the 5 scriptures were meaningful to him. You got people that go to church every Sunday that are the biggest hypocrites in the world. Some of the most evil people in the world. You got so many mass killers, shooters, etc. Church-going people. So it doesn't matter about that, because those people didn't follow the principles that God have given you. So the one thing that's missing from the generation now is the fact that they don't have the principles. See, when we had our grandparents, you had Big Mama, you had Granddad, you had, and Granddad was real. These were real aged granddads and grandmothers. Like, grandma was not 45, still in the club. Grandma was grandma. You knew grandma was old. You knew granddad was old. They still had a mean right hook. But they all, if you think about this, they all taught you principles. The do's and the do nots. And so the fact that we've gotten off track is the fact that why some of us have not have had success. I can firsthand say that to myself, that as an adult, I realized the principles that my mom was trying to apply in my life. And sometimes it's the messenger, and it comes off wrong. But what they're saying is right. So sometimes people get it quicker than others. But the thing that remains fact and true is having principles. Now, phone lines are open. I'm sorry. 446419606. If anybody's out there with a success story or a failure story that wants to share, please do so, because I want to get into it now before I go into the big debate about college selection as far as HBCU and PWIs, because we have to be our brothers and sisters keepers. We have to be these young people guidance outside of the parent home, because when your kids leave, they're to the world. When your kids graduate high school, and become young adults, and they're going out to the world. It's a Shark Tank at that point, and you can't save them. You only can instill the principles. Hear me out. This is the common factor. The principles in life, and you got to hope they adhere to those things. And again, phone lines are open. 446419606. Share a story. Share a success or failure story, so you don't want somebody to make the same mistakes. Now, my circle of friends that listen, a lot of them are successful. No questions. But it's our duty to pass down that knowledge and those principles. Because if you think about how you got your success, it's because you followed principles. Real simple. You don't have to be a religious person. You don't have to be, I don't